what am I doing?
When I was on the streets?
Yeah, for example, like we've heard the stories like people urinating on somebody else as a human being, getting stabbed is another thing. What was your experiences on the streets?
Well, yeah, I mean, I've been spat on, I've been peed on, I've been attacked. I think they were a bit disturbed when I flew out of my sleeping bag because I'm 6'6".
Yes,
very tall, aren't you?
Yes, they I think they'd had a bit too much to drink, and then they were like, "Oh, sorry, we thought you were rubbish." Yes,
dear.
and I was like, "Okay, of course you really did."
Matthew, I just want to ask, you went from that point where you were sleeping rough, but you're at a positive point in your life now, and you're involved with the sock mob. I just want to ask a question, which, to be honest, when I met John, and we'll be playing out an interview with Hazel in a second, I left meeting them thinking, is it okay to give an individual, someone who's sleeping rough, money, because even in the back of our minds we might be knowing that it might be going to a wrong place? Should we be giving something like what the sock mob do, which is what yourselves do, giving some socks or giving some food? I just want to know, Lydia and Matthew, what your thoughts are on that.
Okay, well, I'll just put this to you. If you have a raging heroin addiction and you need to fund 70-80 pounds a day of heroin, you have to do that.
Right.
There's no like, okay, I'll put it off till tomorrow. There is no choice on that. So a lot of times if people do give money to homeless people, accept that the homeless person may use it for alcohol, may use it for drugs, may use it for their own choices, but the choice you kind of have to ask yourself is that acceptable? Do I say, no, I'm not going to give money because it may go to drugs, and put the pain on the person, inflict more pain in some kind of way?
So I'll just put it to to you, both of you, that what we do here is not a solution. It's temporary. We fix someone up, even when we give it that thing that's going to last them for maybe a day, maybe 2 days, maybe a week, if we're lucky, right? So what would you say would be a solution, something that you might have found in your life right now working with Sock Mob that might help people have a rod to fish, for example?
Well, I don't actually work with Sock Mob.
Yeah, you don't. Okay.
No.
It's extended.
I work with Unseen Tours.
Right. And so please quickly explain, and then
real
we'll go into...
Real quick, I live in a Salvation Army homeless hostel.
Right.
So I'm one step up from sleeping on the street.
Right.
And we do... Unseen Tours are a group of guides who give historical and personal tours on local areas in London, given by ourselves to show that we're capable, to try and break down the idea that you may have that because I'm a homeless person or just one step off being homeless, that I'm incapable of engaging, entertaining, informing.
Okay.
So that's what we do.
Could you just quickly give me a website where people, if they wanted a tour from someone like yourself, do you have
www.sockmobevents.co.uk.
.org.
And you want to quickly say thank you to... yes.
Well, thank you to both of you for inviting us to talk, and also to the lovely guys from the Kindness Offensive who've given us some fabulous stuff to give out on the street, and who I believe are taking up the challenge with you to feed the homeless neighbourhoods.
They are coming in later on, and we will be seeing how far that challenge has gone and how much more we can give to your charities like yourself and what they have done.
So Lydia, whilst you were with us, another lady that we met, and again I really want to thank you for giving me that experience. I'll be talking a little bit more about the experience of meeting the homeless through yourselves as Sock Mob, was Hazel. And we'll be speaking to Westminster Council in a moment, but Hazel told us about her experiences of living on the streets and how she ended up where she is now today, but the journey that it took for her to get to where she is today.
My journey began really when I was quite young, which I don't speak about a lot, but it was very much on and off and on and off. And I've been very lucky in my life that I've had jobs that have kept me going for quite long periods of time. Unfortunately, when I've lost these jobs, I've lost my livelihood. I've had to leave relationships, or when I was young, I had to leave the family home. In that period of time, I became an addict quite heavily. I was a heroin addict. But during all that time, I was also working And I held this job down for 9.5 years, one of them, and no one ever knew, right? And then I got married in that time, but it wasn't a marriage, it was more of a joke, really. We was having a laugh. We thought we'd want some Christmas presents. Seriously, we did. So we got married Christmas Eve and had a party. And, you know, and I didn't take it seriously, and I wish I had them now, you know, and so we split up, you know, about 8 and we was both on drugs. And the only way to come off the drugs was to part company. So I ended up, I left him with the, we was in a housing association. So because I felt more capable of looking after myself than he himself. So I left and eventually got rehoused again. So I had somewhere good, so I was okay. Mm-hmm. And what happened with me was my mother got ill, and I left and went to look after her and my family, and she basically left me in the lurch. I kept forgetting that people can be quite selfish, you know, so I ended up with nowhere to live. And what I did, I had some money put away from my previous work, and I went to India, and I stayed there for 3 years.
What part of India did you go to?
I went to Goa, Rajasthan and Kashmir, yeah, which was absolutely amazing. It's absolutely beautiful. And started a shop there, was teaching English. And everything was going all right, but then my mother's husband got ill again, not my father, her husband, and she needed some help. And I just went back and looked after her while her husband died of lung cancer. And when it was all over, I was basically left with nowhere to live. She didn't help. And, oh, don't know, I was crying.
Okay. It's all right.
It's okay.
It's all right.
I don't want.
No,
but it's
seriously.
You're talking about those that you love.
Yeah.
I should have talked about that. That's basically what happened. Yeah. That's how I ended up with. I came back to London, and because I have friends here from years ago. Yeah. So I sort of became a sofa surfer, we call them.
Sofa. Right. Let me get this right. A sofa surfer. Now I've heard of sofa surfers, but I don't think.
It off.
Okay. You're the originator. Okay, because I had a sofa surfer in my house, and he still lives there. His name is Tindi. He's my little brother.
Tell him he's a sofa surfer.
Right. Okay. Okay. Fair enough. So you started the trend of sofa surfing.
Yes, it's very like you've got friends and you surf from one sofa to the other without getting on people's nerves for too long. And also and obviously I was on the streets. I found a way to live, was to have a little tent, right, and use the parks. And basically I kept out of other people's way, you know, and found sleeping under cameras, in Borough Market and places like that, and to do it that way.
Did you find it easy to get onto the streets and not ask for help at this time, or did you want to at any point thinking, there's people out there, they helped me once before, and we're not talking about family, we're talking about the establishment. Yeah. And why did that not occur? Yes. Sorry, why did you not take that step and start asking for help in that room?
Well, I did.
You are a well-educated woman, you know how to run a business, you're not anyone who is like a liability to anyone, you're in perfect state of mind. They need to see you on the street before they will help you.
Yes, so I have to put myself in danger by being in places where other people can see me. For them, if they might come along, they go, oh yeah, okay, tick the box. How I got rehoused was when the big issue, it was their 18th anniversary, asked me to go to 10 Downing Street. And one of the issue sellers, a lady called Billy, and she was really forceful. And she said, what about Hazel? Yeah. Why is Hazel still on the streets with her illness and her age? And so I said, stay behind and talk to one of his secretaries, and they got in touch with Lambeth Housing, and like that they found my paperwork. They put me in temporary housing, and that's what happened.
And so if it wasn't for 10 Downing Street, you probably would have still been. I'm just saying, maybe they would have found it earlier, but I'm just saying it just happened that.
No, I don't even support 10 Downing Street.
But you know what? They got you into a home, didn't they? So that's something that they've done.
But since I've been rehoused, meeting Lydia and the Sock Mob and doing other work gives me more of a push to help other people. It really does. I mean, it's ridiculous.
So nobody chooses to actually stay on the street. Nobody actually wants to be out here. It's just that the reason that you're here is because of this let's say technical terms and ticking the boxes?
Upside down, it's back to front. I mean, the hostels are worse than prisons. People come out with lice, bed bugs. The amount of drugs in these places is phenomenal. If they know you're doing selling the issue or you've earned some money, they're knocking on your door. You know, it is not a good place to go. And these people, I'm sorry to say this, these people who run these hostels are getting paid wages, right? And they got their wages because of people like us on the streets, right? And what are they doing? You know, honestly, I'm sorry to say, but it makes me angry. Mm-hmm. I used to be a voluntary reading helper. This is before it became that Evening Standard were doing it. So I've started to do that again. So I started to teach music again. So just I want to get the community where I'm living back involved, because there's a lot of people from Eastern Europe, and there's a lot of people who don't speak English. A lot of their mothers don't, but their children are, it's backwards and forwards. So there's a lot of work to be done in these communities. So I'm trying to get some funding together to start some work in those communities that way.
You're not only trying to help the homeless, you're actually helping a community who hasn't got a voice, let's say an English voice. And
absolutely.
So you're not in...
They haven't.
My question is that when your voice was lost in this big noise that happened in your life, now that you're recovering your voice and getting it back, what could you advise people who are in a situation where they might find themselves heading that way? What can you advise them? What can you say? Listen, you're going to end up on the streets, but keep away from this, keep worrying back, go here, this might help, this might be faster. What can you tell them?
Well, I would definitely say to go to places like the day centres, okay, and the Big Issue, and go in and the sock mob people, the volunteer groups out here, which will put you in the right direction, or approach somebody like me who's just standing there selling an issue and ask, right, don't get caught up. Because the amount, especially the young girls out here, get caught up in a really bad situation. They're out here, if you're out here for a while, you came back, you'll see them drunk, falling down the steps in a terrible, terrible way, and getting abused, obviously abusing themselves, and the men are abusing them. And it isn't, and they've usually got black eyes and hurt.
That's Hazel. And there are other charities out there that are helping the homeless.
If you're just joining us, you listen to Sonny and Shay on BBC London 94.9. We're talking about homelessness. And that was Hazel, who was just sharing her story and her experience. And I mean, if she's listening, I want to say thank you to her for sharing that, because it was very difficult for her to do that. But at the same time, she was actually very honest. Listening to what she said and to her story was Councillor Daniel Astaire.